Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Rostermania continues onwards, but also big drama going down over the Esports World Cup itself. Simp and ZooMaa certainly getting into it, with ZooMaa's community causing a bit of a stir over the last couple of days on social media. Simp and Kenny have given their perspective on the situation over the last couple of days. All sorts of drama popping off on the timeline as a result. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Happy birthday to Pred, by the way, 23 yesterday or whatever, day before. As Kenny says, happy birthday, brother. Accomplished some crazy stuff this year. Of course, most successful team at Champions of the Year. Didn't win the World Cup then. Of course, we'll go on to discuss in the coming minutes how big of a deal that really was. The opinions on this vary wildly. This was the other tweet from Krim. Just got some massive news, so hyped for next year and beyond. Don't know what this is about. We've talked about Krim's racing career, the fact that he's trying to take that next step, get into a, basically a better category, more competition, that type of stuff. Maybe that's what it's about. We'll see. I'm excited to find out what it is. There was a couple of Rostermania things that I missed from earlier today. This was one, Sam Phoenix, also the coach of, well, the coach, alongside Theory, of the Vegas Legion. He's going to be gone. So, yeah, free agent, of course. He was with Seattle Surge the previous year. He was on Vegas for a year, so wishing him the best going forwards. And also, I wanted to talk about Attach quickly, as you guys can see here. Now, obviously, he's joking, but Hixie says, who says no? Scrap Hixie, banned speeds on Vegas. But we saw earlier today, you have got, of course, Phoenix is gone as the coach, Geo, Nero, and even Fame all released, basically. Johnny, I guess we'll see if they decide to bring him back, but as Attach says, this is how I find out that I'm dropped type thing. But the reality is that he isn't dropped, and I'm pretty sure that Vegas have decided to extend Attach's contract, which, as I said earlier, is pretty rare for Vegas. Now, with the Falcons thing coming into play, what does that mean for Attach's contract? Who knows? It actually might work out rather well for him if he's contracted to Falcons and they come in and bet a lot of money to get other good players onto the team. But also it may mean that Attach is kind of stuck there without many options going into next season. Some players will not sign a 1+1 with a team like Vegas just in case they actually extend you, because Attach may well have better offers out there, but it's simply not possible because they've decided to extend his deal. This is some of the discussion from FaZe. Thought this went pretty hard from Cell. Humble enough to know I'm replaceable, wise enough to know that I can't be covered, and here he is. Of course, Crowder on the left, here's Cell in the middle. MVP of the event by quite some margin. One of the key is maybe their key, or one of the keys they crushed. I don't know. This clearly isn't crushed. Maybe it's their key. Simp, Gersh, and aBeZy, of course, rounding out the roster. Because Gersh is obviously part of the team, as we all know. As Dashy says, cold pick MC, elite plays this season. Certainly elite plays at the World Cup. And I think that some of the narratives around Cellium post-World Championship were definitely major narratives on Cellium's playstyle, how impactful he really was, this type of stuff. And it seemed like they did change some things up at the World Cup, and, maybe the other teams are kind of counting their lucky stars. They didn't do that earlier. Otherwise, we could have been in for a rather different season. This just one more interesting note. Thieves plays this weekend. They came second, very impressive. And they, of course, this weekend were representing 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves it actually is. For the first time in several years, 100 Thieves actually playing in Call of Duty again. They first came on the scene, if you guys remember, back in Black Ops 3, CWL Anaheim, the legendary prison jerseys that Aches and the other boys were wearing back then. That didn't go to plan. They didn't win a map at Anaheim 2019 today, or 2016, so they decided to blow it up and come back 3 years later once Nature had actually figured out what he wanted to do with the brand. But unfortunately for Thieves, despite doing very well in the Black Ops 4 season when it all franchised, they didn't get a spot. They eventually did get the spot after OGLA sold their spot and Hex got OpTic back in some sense with Chicago Huntsman, partnered with NRG, all that type of stuff. There was a spot available, 100 Thieves snuck in there, and they were back in the league, but as the Los Angeles Thieves. Now, this was the first event that they were playing as 100 Thieves, and as 100 T say, you might have to keep the name after that. So, will we see a trend of this? Because there are rumours that Cloud9 are going to call themselves Cloud9 New York. It was the New York Subliners. Subliners as a brand is going to die. They still apparently have to do the city-based stuff. For now, that's at least my feeling, Cloud9 New York is going to be the name, similar to OpTic Texas. So, could 100T become 100T Los Angeles? 100 Thieves Los Angeles? Yes, it sounds awful, but it's not really any different to OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, OGLA, that was a team way back in Modern Warfare 19. So I don't know whether that's something they're thinking about, but I would be thinking about it if I'm Thieves, potentially just saying, okay, we're going to make them 100T again, and we're going to mess around with the names to actually make that happen, but no one's going to call them 100 Thieves Los Angeles anyway, they're just going to call them 100T, and I feel like that's probably best for the scene in general. But let's talk about some of this drama, right, because the Esports World Cup, of course, went down, just got back from ReeaL this morning, and as Clay says, over the last few years, I've tried not to be too involved in the drama as much as I can, which, maybe you could debate that, but a $1.8 million tournament most certainly counts a lot. So, there's a big debate on how much this event actually counted out in ReeaL, what it really means in the grand scheme of Call of Duty, what do you equate it to, is it equivalent to a major, is it more equivalent to like the World Finals in 2015 where Champs was earlier, but that was a pretty big event at the end of the season, is it more equivalent to like an X Games, something like this. So Nameless gives his take on it and he says the following: seeing people debate the significance of Atlanta FaZe's win baffles me, as if you had a hand in saying it's important. Face reality, your favourite teams or players are not your actual friends. They're friends with each other, and arguing on their behalf is simply odd behaviour. OpTic players are happy for FaZe and vice versa. You should be too. Which is, well, I don't know. I think that's true on some level, but I don't know. As a competitor, am I happy that my opponents won the big tournaments? I don't know. I'm sure they're happy for them on a personal level, because some of those players get along on those respective teams. But, that point to me is kind of like an off point, really. As he says, Champs is the ultimate win, the pinnacle of COD. However, winning the biggest international tournament of all time, at least in terms of prize money, has its place in COD history as well, and aids to their claim as the best team of all time. Cope all you want. But, so FaZe are now in the best team of all time conversation. I don't really like this analysis. I do think he's onto something though, and even aBeZy does talk about it as well and says, effectively, well, we'll get to this quote tweet in a second, but he says ESWC, as some people call it, Esports World Cup, I would just say EWC, whatever, is almost on the same plane as Champs. Anyone saying otherwise is an idiot, which is interesting because I'm not so sure it's this clear cut, personally. Like, I was there, but, I see it as maybe major equivalent. I don't know, that's my perspective, and tweet your thoughts in the comments. Champs is still Champs. This new tournament is something different, and it's significant on a resume to win it, which I agree with. I think my perspective is that this will increase in importance over time. Champs is Champs. They've given out rings for the World Championship winners now for a decade. The first one was in 2013. Every year that Champs has happened, its importance on some level has become greater because of the legacy that it generates. There's only so many world champions, there's only one per year, and because it's happened so many times, it, becomes an absolute staple event of the season. But it must be said that, let's say back in like Advanced Warfare or, whatever, when Champs wasn't even at the end of the season, back in Ghost, for example, it didn't seem to quite carry the same weight as it does today. So EWC, I think in 10 years' time, if they run 10 EWCs in a row, that is going to be considered a very big tournament. But for the first running, I don't think it quite has that feeling about it yet. That's my feeling, despite the money, of course, in play. The format, of course, also wasn't the best compared to what it could have been. I think what they should have done, maybe what I would do in future, is instead of having 2 streams simultaneous, run 4, right? And just get through the groups really quickly, and then you can run like, a best of 7 double elim, or just a best of 5 double elim, whatever. They didn't have the time, is the reality, to do that, and the GSL style groups they did as well with the 16 teams. aBeZy reckons that it's somewhat equivalent to the X Games, and there's so much, I wouldn't exactly call it revisionist history here, but there's lots of talk about it, because at the time when OpTic won X Games back-to-back, and Scump of course won it back-to-back as well during Ghost and Advanced Warfare, there was talk on playing that down as an accomplishment because, well, there was no prize money, it's the X Games, and it's kind of like the same now the other way around. I think one point that is worth pointing out though is that this event was, some people put an asterisk on this event because, the warm-ups, the single elimination, the new patch, the smokes that changed, you could only use them on invasion, stuff like this, and the lag outs. So does it count or not? aBeZy does make a very valid point though, that you can look at the majority of events from the CWL era and you can easily find asterisks with these events, because as aBeZy says, most events that would be played, there'd be a major patch update that would drop during the weekends, changing the game often quite substantially, right? So I don't think it's anywhere near as clear cut to say that, oh, this didn't count, this counted. It's obviously a grey area, but there's been lots of talk about this over the last few days, and especially it's got pretty heated, right, in some of the communities on this. Even JCap says that there's some of major tournament wins that are counted as majors that, people got less than 5k each for winning. This was a $1.8 million tournament, so how can you not consider it to be on that level? So, you know, the debate is going to rage on this one, to be fair. But what I wanted to have a look at is this community here. So this is the ZooMafia community, and as you guys can tell, there's been some discussion on what we're going to do about it, because if you guys have looked into Twitter over the last couple of weeks, you'll probably quite often see tweets, even if you're not in the ZooMafia community, from the ZooMafia community of, well, often the tweets are pretty, let's say, inflammatory. And I think this is just my perspective, the nature of social media and the nature of what Twitter, kind of x.com, kind of what they're going for with these communities. What you'll tend to find is that the posts that people make in the communities that do the best are the ones that create the most engagement, the most vitriol, and, you know, so it leans towards people posting stuff which is going to rile up some controversy and debate, and at times, lots of friction, right? So this is what ZooMaa kind of says, is that the ZooMafia community has kind of become a bit of a cesspool on some level, right? Where people are just talking, you know, rage baiting, I guess is what people are calling it nowadays. So that's what ZooMaa said. He was like, it makes me want to blow up the community. It's not good for anyone. And actually then this is where Simp wades into the discussion and says he should. I don't even follow the community, and all I ever see are toxic fans on my timeline somehow, which I'm sure you guys might have experienced over the last few weeks. Simp then says, feel like the last 2 weeks it's gotten way worse. I don't know why OpTic fans can't just enjoy their ring and FaZe fans just enjoy the EWC win. Both are insane tournaments to win. And listen, I'm all for a rivalry in the competition, but I've seen some brain damage last week or so. The only reason why I'm even saying something, and you know, as he says, it's more than 2 orgs, more than just those 2 orgs. I feel like that's all I've seen though. It's everyone getting involved. Look, on some level, if we want this to be a sport and to grow and to become bigger, this is inevitable. Players, coaches, community members, whatever, taking heat from fans, and some of the fans are going to be toxic. That's like a natural part of sport on some level. I don't think social media helps it at times, and I do think that, you know, on some level, ZooMaa could probably control this better with like moderators and stuff, but also I think it's kind of like the nature of the platform that these type of comments are rising to the top. But I thought it was interesting from Simp, who says, I'm not focused on any negatives, trust me. I've just seen Kenny's tweet after our match and just thought something should be said about it other than just from him, right? Because this is what Kenny said after they lost, and this guy replied and says, we don't count home series champs, this is what happens when you don't cheat, or whatever's going on there. You didn't even, and basically this guy, FaZe Lanta, FaZe, you know, Goblin or whatever, didn't even congratulate his own team initially. He was just calling out OpTic. So it is what it is, right? You're always going to get this on social media. It's a natural thing, unfortunately. But therefore, there was quite a lot of discussion. Is ZooMaa going to shut it down? What's going to happen? Is this the end of the ZooMafia community, right? Because that's when ZooMaa was sitting there saying it might be time to call it a day and blow up the entire thing. But then ZooMaa, having thought about it further, decided, you know what? He ain't leaving. The show goes on. The community stays as it stands. So possibly they're going to look to control it a bit better, but you know, that's pretty much where the drama ends for today. But there's going to be so much roster stuff happening over the coming days, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that, and I'm sure it will be happening overnight, and we'll have more to talk about tomorrow morning as well. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Got my FaZe OpTic shorts on, got my FaZe OpTic shorts here. You know what I'm saying? Reason why I wore my FaZe OpTic shorts today is just to remind everybody that there's nothing but love here, guys. There's nothing but love. What the fuck is going on in the ZooMafia community, man? And Twitter and Reddit and everywhere. Bro, I have never seen the community this bad before, bro. You know what I mean? Like, bro, what is going on with some of y'all motherfuckers, bro? Bro, it's making me want to blow up the community, because I made the community to have like funny clips, memes. Like I made the community for fun. I didn't make the community to become the fucking COD competitive Reddit. You know what I mean? I mean, I obviously want people to talk COD and give their opinions, but some people are just like, I don't know, bro. They're just clearly being toxic to start some shit. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Let's fucking, you know, I just don't understand it, bro. I don't understand. Bro, OpTic won champs. Congratulations to them. Atlanta FaZe won the Esports World Cup. Congratulations to them. I mean, why can't we just... Bro, both teams did well. Both teams did their thing. You know what I mean? Me personally, I mean, I would wait Call of Duty champs, obviously more. I think everybody does. But I don't know why people are taking away from FaZe's win. You know what I mean? And I don't even know why people are trying to compare both wins. Like... It just makes no sense to me, man. It makes absolutely no sense. Like, the players have love for each other. The organizations have love for each other. The only people that don't have love for each other are the fucking fans, man. What's wrong with these motherfuckers?